All right, Phil, we are live, buddy. So, welcome to Mastering You. Welcome to the podcast. And
Cheers, mate.
so, you are in a special club, Phil, because you're only one of the first. Well, I think we're on two. You're the second member that we've had to come onto the podcast. And yeah, I know, and for some people, it takes a bit of courage to do that. So, I really appreciate that. And
That's all right.
just to give the listeners a reason why you're here, you obviously started training and working with us a few months ago now, and just in that very short space of time, have had a massive transformation, a lifestyle transformation, which is what LPT is.
Yeah, it's been phenomenal. That's probably the only way I can sort of explain it. I mean, I remember when I first saw the adverts, I'd sort of got into that space where pushing myself was getting quite hard. Having a busy life, 3 kids, a busy job, but mindful that with the lockdown, I was already working from home. I was doing less, on a day where I don't put any exercise in, probably averaging 600-700 steps sometimes, at the worst, into those bad habits of going into my office in the morning, and I'm there until I'm sort of coming down at about 6:30. I'll pop down for a bit of lunch, and then you sort of in all of that as well, you're throwing in the rubbish, and I'll grab a quick bit of white toast in the morning, which I'm not saying white toast is bad, but then I'd have white sandwiches at lunchtime. Then I'd grab a chocolate bar, pack of crisps, take it up. And then, when I popped down for a cup of tea, the biscuit barrel used to be placed next to the kettle. And then, of course, throwing a bit of stress and everything else that sort of comes with it, and you come down into your sort of home life after work, and then it's, we would generally eat. We always eat late. The kids get sorted. They're in bed, and if you've got kids at home yourself, you probably know that really you're not really getting sorted till about 7:30, 8:00, and you're generally eating late. And I've always loved my food. Always loved cooking. So it's always been a bit of stodge, potatoes, pasta. To the extreme where I like really rich food. Dauphinoise potatoes, lots of cream, lots of garlic, and stuff. We in proportion is perfectly fine. But when you throw into the fact that you're not doing anything at all, and I think it got to the point, that no one can really see on this, but I'm a big guy. I'm 6'5", and I've got to that point where I was getting close to 19 stone. And all my friends would go, "Oh, Phil, you can carry it though. You're a big guy. It doesn't sort of show, but actually, it's quite a bit of weight to carry around, and it got to the point where, I love my clothes. I like getting dressed up to go out. I take pride in my appearance. And then, I was sort of finding that I got to that point where I was going to the next size up in clothes. And to me, it sort of felt like, actually, I think I'll get into the next size and it will be the next size. And actually, I don't think I should be going out and buying clothes because of my bad habits. Really, I should be sorting my habits out and not. But the ironic thing is, I've lost so much weight that actually all my clothes are too big. so I've got the same sort of problem, but in a different sort of way. Which
what period of time, Phil? What period of time did you gain that? To the point there that the amount of weight that you knew when you reflected on it that time.
I think it had been really creeping on, and I've tried. I've been one of those serial gym members where I sign up for 12 months that don't ever go.
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
always been some sort of excuse to sort of not go. Years ago, I used to train with a friend, and it's different because you're in, you don't want to let each other down. You go, you do big sessions. You may not work out together when you're there, but you're always saying to your mate, oh, how'd you get on? Yeah, maybe just try and do this. But I've got to that rut where actually I sort of felt that I needed some help. Going to the gym wasn't going to do it. My wife was making the odd little comment, and you're sort of thinking, I'm 3 years away from 50, and it's going to be very hard to sort of pull that back from, And I sort of thought I've got to do something. And actually, there was a kickboxing class in the village. And I thought, well, I tried to go and I sort of thought, well, I couldn't actually get in. And then I saw the advert for LPT pop up on Facebook. I don't know how Facebook does it, but, it's got this mind reading power that you seem to be thinking about whatever it is and the adverts are there. And I saw it. And to be honest, you sort of see the picture of people before and after, and it was, I sort of thought, well, even if I don't get that result and I change just something about me to sort of give me a bit of a kick up the arse to sort of get going, I feel I could probably carry that forwards. And I'll never forget my first week at LPT. I got there and I thought, bloody hell, what's all this about then? And I'm not going to lie. It's you get out of it what you put in. You could go there and not really push yourself or build up to it. But what I really love about it is everyone is lovely. Everyone is there sort of because they want to sort of be there, and they want to sort of get themselves in some sort of shape, some sort of order, or they want to maintain stuff.
I think that's the thing. That's the thing, isn't it, Phil? That maybe kind of works over things that maybe people try is that you guys are all very much in the same boat. Some of our members might have been with us for a little bit longer, but you kind of know that everyone's been through. I mean, literally, pretty much 99 go through our 6-week program.
Yeah.
As you know, it's about laying the foundations. We're not teaching you anything groundbreaking. Habits is like drink water and move more. Very much about kind of like nailing the basics. And obviously, that I'm very honest about the fact that the issue is the basics are the things that people put off. And anyone watching this, and because like you said just a minute ago, you said that you look the before and after pictures, and you had, like, I could hear in your voice like that you obviously had a bit of maybe skepticism, which is absolutely fine. And people have that lack of belief. They think, oh well, that would never be me. That's fine for those people, but it's not going to happen to me. And then, but you soon realize that actually, if you are willing to commit, or not even willing, but if you're ready to commit emotionally and mentally, you do have to be in the right frame of mind, don't you?
You've got to be in that. You've got to be in that place where you either need to do it or want to do it. I think if you were being pushed into doing something like this, it's probably not for you. I think you could probably try it and get something out of it, but actually, even in the short amount of time that I've been going to LPT, I love the days that I'm going in and I'm doing a session. I love the fact that it's quite. We've got a little Facebook group, and we can share stories, and we can go, well, I've tried this, and you sort of. If you're looking to lose the weight, there's people there that are sort of giving you the advice, and and you and the other coaches are always approachable, and the fact that we can always get hold of you and we can say, look, I've got a bit of a problem with this, and like me and you, chatted, it's for me one of the hardest times of the day for me is I come down about 5:30. Kids are being sorted. There's food about. There's generally nuggets,
Yeah.
fish fingers, bit of chocolate knocking about. And it's that. And the problem is I always used to I come down about 5:30, 6 o'clock or whatever. I'm hungry. And then, I know I'm not eating probably till 7:30, 8 o'clock. And then that used to almost turn into a bit of a grazing period. What can I eat out of the fridge? What can I eat out of the cupboard? Oh, the kids are left saying, "Oh, I'll nick a bit of that." And then when we started talking, I was always a little bit skeptical about the protein shakes, but it's the push to increase the protein. And what I found is I come down at the end of the day, I'll grab a handful of strawberries, I'll do myself a strawberry shake, and that will sort of keep me going. And generally, what I find is that I'm not eating or wanting to eat a lot of the really, the stuff that you could quite easily go and eat 4 or 5 biscuits, and it's sort of breaking those habits a little bit.
It sounds like you're starting to think about it as well more, Phil. Like you said before, when you were in those habits of eating a lot of the white toast and the white bread and then the sandwiches, then maybe the chocolate and the kids. I mean, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on, because I obviously talk to a lot of people that are inquiring about, doing the program or thinking about it or wanting to do it. And it is sometimes like talking to the same person, because it's literally a lot of people think that they're quite on their own. And if they, if GDPR allowed me and people could listen to all the phone calls I have with people, they'd realize that everyone's got the same issues, they've got the same problems, which is why I, pretty much am quite rigid with what we deliver, because I know where people's pain points are, and I know what they need, but there isn't one set plan for everyone, because everyone's got similar pain points. The way that they're going to overcome those pain points is always going to be slightly different, and that's why we coach you guys through more of a principle-based approach, rather than these are the 3 meals you have to eat today, or these are the 5 meals you have to eat, or the 2 meals you have to eat. We say no. Everyone's got their own work commitments and busyness, and ultimately the best plan is going to be the one that works for you. But you need to have a set of principles that you're following in order to make that plan work for you. And it is from a coaching point of view, it can be hard, because a lot of society have been conditioned to be given just one set plan. Like, everyone follow this. This is the magic pill. This is the magic new diet on the block. Having done this for 15 years, I've realized a long time ago that that's never going to exist. And the magic pill is really about, finding what works for you. And I know, you're still kind of experimenting now, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What would you say the biggest nutrition changes, or some of the, obviously you've mentioned protein, that's a principle that you've really taken on board, is to get that enough sort of 30-40% of your daily intake from protein. And the idea of that is to help push your calories down. What
So generally, I generally watch what I eat now. I'm portion sizes. Generally, you can make some cheat wins. We've moved. I haven't eaten white bread really since I started. I've made little subtle changes, like I've moved to thins, which they're all right. Put them in a toaster, they sort of disappear into dust. But there are other things out there, and I've just tried to stay away from the really carb heavy stuff like potatoes, pastas. But I'm not saying that I don't have them. I still have them, but I generally don't. I won't gorge myself on them, and I generally won't eat until I can't eat anymore. Whereas before, it was almost like the cartoon, where you just eat and your tummy's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you actually can't get anything else in. And it's bringing that control in, because actually, I am going to the studio and I'm working out and I'm working hard, that you sort of get into this other mindset. And the other mindset is actually I'm working really hard to sort myself out.
I've earned the calories.
Yeah, but I don't want to lose all the hard work that I've done.
Yeah.
Now, and that's the thing. But what I'm saying is I've still had the odd, I've still had the odd night where I've had a bit of a treat. But what I've generally done is I've changed things. So like, whereas my other half may have someone round, and all the girls, or out of lockdown, they'd have some crisps. What I would do is I'd change them for like pop crisps, so things that I know I'll eat, but it's not like a pot of Pringles where I'm just going to go and absolutely smash it. So I'm and I have had a little bit of chocolate. But generally, what I'm not doing is I'm not, every time I go to the shop, I'm not buying myself a treat when I go in there. And that's what used to happen. It used to be, we're out of milk. I'll go and get some milk. While I'm at the milk, I'll get a pack of crisps or I'll get a chocolate bar.
Why was that? Was that a habit that you just built, Phil?
I don't know. I think it was a bit of a habit, but actually, I think sometimes you get that little hit from that moment, don't you, of enjoyment? You're enjoying it for a moment, but now I don't really feel that I need it. I can, I never used to go up the shop and just get a pint of milk. I would drive up the shop. Get a pint of milk, get a packet of crisps, and have a chocolate bar or something on the drive back. Now, I live in the same village, and the shop is, I think we'll probably get onto the walking in a bit, but I never used to walk anywhere. I'd get in the car, drive up the road, grab what I need. But now, I look for those opportunities where I can, I'm quite mindful that on the days that I'm not in the studio, I need to get the steps up. Now, there are still challenges. If I'm, like this week's been a bit crazy at work, I haven't probably done as much as I need to do. But the other subtle change that I've made, that if I, like on a weekend, I was faced with this problem where, a new neighbour that we know had said, "Look, Phil, you want to go for a drink?" And I decided for 3 months up till Christmas, I wasn't going to drink. But on the flip side of that, I didn't want to say no to not going out. So what I did was I thought, well, I'm going to go out, but actually I did a workout at home. Did an hour's workout. I think I burnt 400 or 500 calories. I ate before I went out as well, because I knew I would snack. I did still snack. I had a shandy, but what I've done is if I know that, I'm going to be doing things, I try to add a little bit of exercise in as well.
What's really cool about everything you just said there is like many of our past episode podcasts are all, a lot of them are sort of, maybe some of them are quite heavy, and we talk about mindset and we talk about self-awareness, but like, listen to what you just said. It brings it all, everything we've sort of talked about in the past, it brings it all into practical. People listening probably completely understand like where you're at, but what's cool to hear is like your levels of self-awareness are just increasing. You're thinking, oh, I'm going for a drink, that's cool, like that's, I'm going to enjoy that, going for a drink with a neighbor, but that's obviously, I'm going to be taking on some extra calories there, and I'm probably going to have a snack as well. So rather than just allowing it to impact me and all the work I've put in to lose weight, I'm gonna counter that with a quick workout. And that's I'm guessing like 5 months ago or 6 months ago.
No, I never would have done. I would have done that. No, I wouldn't have done that. It's and that's the sort of change, and I think as well, with I think with COVID this year as well, it sort of hit home a bit. I was quite unwell 2015. Had to stay in hospital. I've had quite a lot of stomach operations. I think I've lost count now. I think I'm up to about 5. I've got another one at some point as well. And the last day, I got pneumonia when I was in hospital, and I
Wow.
was very, very, very ill. And and I've been quite mindful of that. In that, actually, the chances are, living in a small community in the village that we live in, at some point, we may get hit by COVID, and I was actually overweight, and it worried me, and I sort of think, moving forwards, and there were so many reasons to do something that were outweighing the reasons to not do something. And when you got a young family as well, I've just got to make sure that I'm going to be around and fitter. And I sort of thought, well, actually, I'm going to get into that space. If I don't sort it out now, it's going to be very hard to sort out. And I think it's, I think it's always, so you can always achieve something. Even if I was a bit older and I was a bit heavier, I probably could have sorted something out. But actually, this was the right point for me to actually go, you know what, the only person that's going to do this is sort of me. And and you can make little changes, like the fridge door. Don't have the chocolate in the fridge door. Don't have the chocolate. Don't put it in that top. I don't want to see it. When I open that door in the fridge,
Out of sight, out of mind. Yeah.
yeah. And the other thing that I've done as well, and my boys ate it, is I refuse to let Pringles in the house. They are they're not allowed in the house. So I buy them the ones from Aldi's, which I don't actually like, which the boys are not massively keen on. They're like, Dad, can we have these? And I'm like, no, they ain't coming in, because I feel that it's almost my kryptonite. So I don't have anything else. And I buy the biscuit.
That's another big principle. Like we sort of talk about LPT. It's not my own. It's taken from Dr. John Berardi's Precision Nutrition. But if it's there, you will eat it. Is the first rule of food, and I think everyone can agree to that. Like if it's there, particularly if you like it, and if it's got sugar in it, or if it's got alcohol in it, or if it's got something really tasty in it, fats, you're gonna be drawn to it, because it gives us. I think the biggest misconception is people think that they are enjoying just the taste, whereas actually in general you're enjoying the emotional response to the food.
Definitely.
Yes, obviously, you have a Ben and Jerry's ice cream, or you have a biscuit, or like you say, a bit of chocolate. In the moment, tastes great. Yeah, I love a bit of chocolate.
I'll tell you one thing though. When you do actually have something now, phenomenal.
Well, that is the flip side to it, isn't it? Because when you start to limit something, it becomes more special. If you limit chocolate or alcohol or whatever to a certain day a week or a certain amount, you just naturally look forward to it more, and you enjoy it more.
Yeah, and the other thing that I was really guilty of as well was I used to drink a lot of Diet Coke, like
right, okay,
loads of it, loads and loads, and so to the point where I'd sort of lose count how many cans I was sort of buying. The big multi-packs, I go in the fridge, and it used to drive my wife nuts, because there'd always be Coke cans everywhere with a little bit left in the bottom. And actually I haven't, I'm not saying I've stopped drinking Diet Coke, but what I do now is, I have it more as a bit of a treat. I'm not drinking to the extreme that I sort of used to sort of drink them at. But I think I just think it's just crazy to think that, you know, I'm sitting here. I think I'm on week 12 now, and the whole change is, you know, and it's sort of spreading out, you know, because obviously I do the cooking in our house, so it also affects what my wife eats. So that sort of changed things with my wife, and my wife's now looking at how many steps that she's doing when she's out and about. So it's sort of spreading out, and also, you know, we've had some friends that have you know, you sort of tell them that, yeah, I'm going to the gym and stuff, and you know, I think people just go, oh, he's going to the gym, right?
Yeah.
You know, but I think, you know, I think the shocker was when I showed people the photo. You know, that difference, and I think when you've got something that's you can actually see. I'm just trying to find it here now, just to see if I can find it. That actually that you can see that's really tangible. It sort of focuses you, you know, and maybe when you're having
How
those
often, Phil, were you kind of like monitoring your visual like changes? Like,
I'm probably not to the extreme that I was, you
yeah,
know, but I'm certainly now looking about every probably 4 or 5 weeks just to see what's going. What I have noticed is my posture. My posture is has massively changed, and you know, I don't know if we can see that on there.
Yeah. Anyone
You
watching
know,
YouTube can see that. Well, we'll put the we'll
but
put the pictures on the
it's
Facebook
it's
group as
it's
well.
it's it's been absolute. But the other thing as well is, you know, my whole mood and my positivity is, you know, I've always been a bit of a miserable git. At times, you know, it's I think it's when you get to sort of later part of your 40s, you just become, you know, absolutely miserable. You know, not to that extent, but you know what I mean. But generally, you know,
I think a common story, Phil. I think a common story from working with so many, particularly parents, is, you know, people have children, and that's great. Obviously, kids are hard work, and that they keep you active. It keeps life, you know, fun, but also can be tough, and you're working hard. And then I think there's that period of about sort of 10, 15 years where you obviously you give yourself so much to your children, and then maybe put yourself last, you know, and then one day, you know, you realize the effects of that, and then that can be weight gain, that can be maybe slight loss of identity, like who am I, you know, and then you're like, you know what, you know, you make the decision that you want to make a change, and that's the people that come to us, like yourself. They want to, like, you know, there's things I want to improve. I've only got one life, and I want to feel good. And you know, if I'm honest with myself, you know, you might say my mood isn't great, really. I should be happy. I've got, you know, job, I've got family, got kids, got, you know, and some things sometimes missing, and sometimes, you know, doing something positive and pushing yourself, that can make all the difference.
Yeah, I think you know, I think there's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be challenges at work. There's always going to be challenges at home, you know, and I think, you know, everyone's faced even more challenges this year in that, you know, you're not seeing your friends. You're not, you know, well, you might be, you know, but not to the sort of extreme that you would normally be. You know, you wouldn't, you know, the whole socializing scene is, you know, it's become quite distant, and I think, you know, that puts quite a strain on you know, everything. You know, I'm quite a social person. You know, I enjoy spending time with people. You know, and it's been, you know, quite a change this year.
On the positive to that, though, Phil, you were saying to me that one of the, obviously with COVID, you know, previously, and this is something that I've seen for years in coaching people previously, the social side of work was a bit of an issue, because you were expected to maybe take clients out and look after them, and that would mean that you're drinking more.
I think this has come a sort of good spot. You know, I'm not taking clients out. I'm not, generally November through to the end of December, I'm seeing clients. You're out more, probably drinking more, probably eating more. Actually, it's. I think this year, I haven't really been out drinking since probably February. Like a proper sort of session. And I'm, in that sort of sense, I've been a little bit of a binge drinker in that, I don't necessarily drink a lot at home, but I will generally drink a lot when I'm out socialising. To the
Do you think that will change? Do you think it sounds like your attitude has changed a lot? Do you think?
I think it probably will, but you never know after you've had a few, though.
But I think your level of self-awareness has increased.
Yeah,
you'll be going into some. If we do go in, hopefully next year there'll be some more normality, and things like that might open up.
I think the difference is when I look back years ago when I did used to go out, but I used to then do the same thing that I did for that example when I went out with a neighbour. If I was going to go out and have a bit of a big weekend, I would make sure that I've got some level of exercise in there, that I'm doing something rather than doing nothing. I may be doing stuff in the week, may not necessarily doing stuff at that point, but actually, but you're still quite mindful of what you're going to eat. I've always, the thing is with me, I've never been a massive eater. I'm more of a grazer. So, I'd never go to a curry house and have a whole curry, whole rice, whole starter, bread, beers, the whole lot. I could never just fit that in. I'd be quite happy with all the starters and a little bit of the mains. But for me, my biggest downfall has been snacking. It's that,
Would you say that's one of the things that you've sort of nailed more than anything is reducing the snacking?
Yeah, it's sort of turn the snacking down. But generally, family function, I'll be up at the old buffet table like a wildebeest, grazing through the pastures of picking out whatever food I can sort of get my hands on.
Snacking's a funny one because really, what a lot of people don't realise is like many things to do with nutrition. The word snacking is just good marketing. It's just a marketing term to get people to eat more and make bigger margins. I was reading a book a couple of years ago by, I think it's Rob Wolf, who wrote The Paleo Solution. He wrote, follow-up was the 30-day reset. And in one chapter in there, we talked about snacking, and he went through, from humans can live without food for months. I think there's one guy on record to live without eating for a whole year. But we can, we are programmed to we don't have to eat. We can not eat for days. Your body will go into ketosis and it will create its own energy source. And so Rob, but in the chapter, Rob says, if we can not eat for months and months, you can definitely go a couple of hours without eating. And it kind of put it into perspective. I was like, oh yeah, why is snacking such a thing? I was like, it's because obviously food manufacturers make money out of it, and we've been kind of conditioned to think that we're almost that's really acceptable and we should snack. And when you think about it, it's like if you just eat a little bit more of the good food at your main meal, you won't need to snack.
So generally, I find that I'll have a bagel at lunchtime, bit of tuna, or sometimes I might have something bigger. I might go for some scrambled eggs. And if you're listening out there, the Richmond chicken sausages are they're quite nice. They're quite nice. So generally, it's making those different sort of changes. But poached eggs, boiled eggs, lots of eggs. It's but the change has been.
What do you say to people that struggle with cooking? Because you're like you said that you've always been the cook, and but we do get a lot of people, and particularly guys. Actually, it's it's relatively unusual that because a lot of guys don't cook or they haven't cooked, or we get some single guys who've maybe sometimes never cooked. What are your recommendations? Let's say we've got some bachelors listening who are just wanting to kind of maybe.
I would just say, and the thing is for me, my cooking has had to change. So I've gone from high fats, high carbs to low fats, but there are some changes you can make. So it's like I did a chicken peanut curry the other week, but it's like the subtle changes. So my wife has peanut butter. I buy the natural peanut butter for me that doesn't have sugar in it. And if I'm doing like on that curry that I did, I used that sort of peanut butter. I used coconut oil. The difference is I think when you're doing this, you naturally don't have as much rice, and there are things that you can do, like you can get the VT do the ready-made rice pots, but I just cheap things like put more chicken on your plate. For me, it's I'd always find that I'd eat more of the veg, more of the chicken, and not so much of the. And the other one is if you're having sauce, make it hot, make it spicy, because you won't have so much of it. But what I found is, just to sort of finish on your question, is it's been quite interesting experimenting and just trying things.
Is that what you find you enjoy about cooking? That is the experiment.
Yeah, a little bit. I like the taste, the spices. I've always quite liked things spicy, not massively hot. Though I think my wife would sort of debate that one. But but generally, it's we've cut back on the pasta. We've replaced white rice with brown rice, which I found like last night, spaghetti bolognese, but with brown spaghetti. But the difference is, I'm measuring the pasta as well. So I've got a little utensil that you put the pasta in for spaghetti, and it tells you. And actually, for 2 portions, I generally go a little bit less. So
that's the key thing there, is you're not. It's not like you've had to learn or think about creating a load of new recipes. A lot of the recipes that you eat now are just the same as what you were before. You just tweaked them slightly. So you've gone from white rice to brown rice.
And the hardest thing that I have found, though, and I'll be honest, is I'm not a fan of sweet potato. I never have been. I've never really enjoyed it, and I've tried to introduce that a bit. My wife loves it. I'm not a fan at all. So that has been a little bit of a challenge on the cooking side, but generally more salads. Try and introduce more veg where I can. If I'm cooking something.
Potato though, right?
Yeah, so I still have. If I have boiled potato, I will generally. I'm pretty brutal. I will measure it to make sure that I haven't got loads. But generally, I'm not eating a lot of carbs. I'm not eating a massive amount.
So when you say you measure it, what have you got?
I've got a little set of scales that I used to use.
What do you aim for?
I don't know. I think for potatoes, I've been looking at like 60 or 70 grams. Not a lot. Not a lot on the potatoes. But then I might have, I'll go for like a couple of chicken breasts, a lot of salad, cucumber, raw onion, and I'll try to sort of bulk up, and I think in this day and age as well, there are a lot of salad dressings now that are sugar free, that a little bit will go sort of long way, but I'm just not having those really heavy cheesy pasta dishes at 8 o'clock at night. I don't think I will.
Phil,
So I've found, really, because I'm quite busy, I was finding a protein shake was easier to sort of fit into my day. So I do my studio sessions. I generally get back around about 8. I do a shake, jump in a shower, and I'm ready for work. But when I first started doing it, it was all about protein. So I was trying to do eggs, like a couple of poached eggs,
Right.
and it and the time a weekend when I have time, I can do stuff like that. I have poached egg, but or even may have a little bit of porridge. Whereas before I used to have lots of sugar with my porridge. I don't generally have that now. The porridge is always measured out. They normally do about 80 grams, but that's normally shared. So I'm only normally having about 40 grams of porridge. So, but the shakes, the great thing about the shakes is, so I've got 2. I'm sorry, mate, I'm going to upset you a little bit here. So I bought the big strawberry one off you. But when I was out, I spotted, I didn't want to buy a big box of chocolate stuff. And I thought, just in case I'm not a fan. But I tell you what, for a treat, I'll have one of these chocolate shakes with a teaspoon of natural peanut butter and a banana. And for me, I've never been to the extreme where I have one of these shakes with just water. I do have to have semi-skim milk in it. I've tried it with the almond milk. Don't float my boat at all in the least. I still want it to be enjoyable, and because otherwise I won't do it. If it tastes awful, I ain't gonna drink it. But so I'll have like this morning I had a strawberry shake. So I did a protein shake, 300 ml of semi-skimmed. But what I do is I buy frozen strawberries. So I'll put 3 or 4 frozen strawberries in there, and then I blend them. And then I've got a really good blender from Tesco. It's like 20 quid. It came with 2 bottles. So and then at tea time tonight, I might have a chocolate one just to sort of mix it up a little bit.
It's handy just to kind of bump up those protein levels, because most proteins you've got to cook them, and unless you're ultra organized and able to always doing your meal prep and cook stuff and batch cook and stuff like that, it's not always possible. So I think one of the misconceptions is that one of the misconceptions around protein shakes is it's like a bodybuilder's thing, and you've got to only do it on a weights day, and you've got to have it after your workout and all that razzmatazz. But as you've just shared,
but generally it's good. It's good. Yeah, I'll have it for my breakfast, and I've swapped 1:15 now. I had mine this morning, and then I'll probably just have I've found these really nice protein bagels, which they've got extra seeds in. They're thins. I like the texture, and they're quite nice toasted as well. So, but the other thing is that's easy cheats that you sort of find getting into this is I don't have like tons of margarine on everything or butter. I generally don't have butter or marge. When I'm having like a bagel, if it's wet, so if I have tuna, I won't generally. I might sometimes put a little bit in, but not to the extreme where it's like that thick on there.
Just regarding measuring you've said a few times you're measuring that. So was that something you ever did before, or just?
No, not really. I just sort of,
What does that do for you? Feel now, like what does that just make mentally? Does it make you just know that you're kind of on track?
Yeah, sort of. I just know that I'm not going to overeat, and that's why I mainly do it. Yeah, because I've put all this effort in, and I don't want to blow it because I've done something that I'm unaware about. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit hard to explain. It's it's like the session this morning was our game. Well, I made no bones about it. We've been back after lockdown, so I think it's the first week where I've done 3 sessions in 1 week, and we were all on them. Come out after a hard session.
So pleased to hear that.
And Tony could see it. He could see it. It's but and Lewis, both all the coaches are great, and it is hard, but it is good fun, and you have a laugh about being knackered at the end of it. And
let's get into that, Phil. With you told us a lot about nutrition and how your mindset has changed. tell me about your experience of getting into this structured training program. That, I suppose that's the difference in, like earlier you said about, you'd play around with joining a gym and going out again, but obviously the difference is now you're actually following a structured training program. We sort of carefully structured.
Yeah, so this one works really well for me, and three times a week in the mornings, get over and done with. And I like it because I don't think about it. I get up in the morning, grab my stuff, jump in the car, go to the studio, do my session, and you're sort of in that state where you're sort of up early. You're maybe a little bit tired. You ain't had breakfast. You've gone in, you've done your session, you've done your workout, and you come out and you sort of set up then for the day. And for other people it works in other ways. They like the evenings, but for me, because of the work that I do, I generally couldn't always finish. I don't have a set working time as such. I'm supporting a business in the daytime, so if I need to get some quotes out or I need to get some paperwork done, I'm there until the work's done. It's not easy, and I think actually for me it works really well. I know on those days I'm going there, and I'm in. And this is what I really love. I go in, it's different. You walk in, and there's you won't know it if you're watching this podcast, but there's a whiteboard, and you go in, and all the exercises are on there. Sadly, the burpees are always quite not popular with us, but they're there. But what I like is you come in and you think it's different. You're not doing the same stuff. It may be a strength day where you're doing strengthening exercises, but you're not doing generally the same exercises all the time, which makes it that more interesting. And also, actually, the sessions, the amount of time that you're in, it's not like you're in there for an hour and a half. It's totally achievable.
Yeah, people do spend, having worked in gyms most of my life, people do waste a lot of time just wandering around aimlessly and looking at machines rather than actually doing anything. And as you know, there's not a lot of that happens in our sessions. It's
we literally turn up. You have a quick hello and you're in it. You're in there. You're doing your warm up. And what I like is the coaches will go, "Oh, Phil," and I am absolutely terrible at this. The guys will go, "Right, we're going to do this exercise, so we've got to do this, or we're doing this," and then I'll be like, it's gone straight away, and they're there, and when you get to it, I'll go, "Oh, blimey, sorry, Tony, I've completely forgot what we're doing." Or on the one that they're saying, "Right, put your legs this way," and my legs and arms are going completely the wrong. But the great thing is they're totally supportive, and they're going, "Right, Phil, just try and do this." Or like yourself, where I'm doing a plank and you'll come over and go, "No, Phil, you need to lean forward over it and get the strength out of it." So so in that sort of, what I like about it is it's fun. I don't see it as a chore. I don't, on the morning's getting harder. You get up, it's dark. The early part of the week it's been quite frosty. But you just do it. I don't feel like I don't ever want to go. I think you've always got that little bit of, oh, I've got to go. But I don't have that feeling where I don't want to go, because actually I'm seeing the results of everything. Mentally, I'm seeing the results. I'm seeing the results.
I was going to ask you, what would you say the big outcomes are like from training? So you're feeling stronger, or is it you're fit just mentally? You're feeling better because you're challenging yourself.
I think for me is obviously my body look has massively changed. My posture's changed. My fitness levels have increased. I'm not getting tired when I'm with the kids. Generally I've got really good energy levels now. You know, my eating's a lot better. But for me, one of the things that I struggled was, you know, with a little bit of mental health. And I think that has been a mass, you know, and for us blokes, it's one of those things we don't, you know, none of us really talk about, you know,
Mm.
but actually it's been an absolute boost to me. You know, it's for those days where you're feeling a bit down, it's not too, you know, it just makes it a bit easier.
Well, I think on that as well, like, so the other thing that we'll want to chat about is you just finished this challenge, this
Yeah,
you
yeah.
kind of created. So tell us about the walking.
So I've been doing really well, and then of course we hit the lockdown that's just gone, and you know, really when you're not doing your exercise, you're looking at getting about 10,000 steps, and being built like a giraffe, it don't matter how far I walk. Getting 10,000 steps in just seemed it didn't. I could never just walk around the village and hit those. You know, I've got the stride of about 10 people. You know, I just wouldn't get the steps up. So I thought to myself, well, I know I'm probably going to struggle with the Zoom sessions. Not that the Zoom sessions ain't good, because they were, but it's the fact that I've got the ability to completely forget what I've just been told in the gym session. And when
Yeah,
you're in it, it's very hard to go because you've been muted. You can't stop, and
yeah.
the sessions are a bit shorter, and you know, and the technique weren't there. So I was really worried about not being able to burn as many calories in those sessions and get the most out of it. So I said to myself, well, I'm going to go for a walk every day. End of the day of the work, I'll go for a walk around the village. And I sort of set myself a bit of a target before the end of lockdown. I was going to walk 100 miles, which I didn't think was too bad because, you know, 3 miles a day, Monday to Friday, I thought, you know, and a bit over the weekend, I could probably nail that. And actually, what I did was it turned into 5 miles a night. And before the end of November, I'd walked over 100 miles. And that was on top of my Zoom sessions.
Mm.
And, you know, and this is a person that wouldn't even walk up to the village shop. But you know, I needed that sort of challenge to get me through the lockdown, because I didn't want, you know, it's been quite hard getting back in the studio this week anyway, but I didn't want it to be harder, and I didn't want to lose the work that I'd already done.
Question I've got, Phil, and this is the one that a lot of people have. How you know, because the big obstacle I probably hear more than any other obstacle is, oh yeah, Matt, I'd love to do that. I'd love to achieve this. I'd love to get those goals, but I just haven't got the motivation. How do you go from not even having the motivation, maybe walk to the shop, to doing 100 miles within a month? You know, how does that within the space of 10 weeks as well? How does that happen?
I think once you're on the journey, it's not so bad. But actually, if you said to me, Phil, can you do 100 miles? I'll be like, Jesus, you're having a laugh, aren't you? I'm never going to get 100. I'm not going to get 100 miles done. But actually, if you said to me, Phil, over the next 4 weeks, try your best to achieve 3 miles a day, 4 miles a day, 5 miles a day. What you feel that you can do. And actually, you know, I started off with 3 miles, and I was actually, you know, walking around in the dark and in the wet at night time was pretty horrible. And I thought, actually, I'm just going to do it in 5 mile blocks, just get it done. And actually, I sort of found it was quite a good way to end the sort of work day. Got out, you know, and I'd say thanks to my wife, because she, you know, if she hadn't have been looking after the kids and getting all the kids sorted, I wouldn't have been able to do it. But I was just more concerned, you know, I wanted to make sure that I just kept my focus and sort of kept going, which is done. But I think actually, if you do a small amount, it's something. And what you'll find is when you start doing something small, that increases. And you probably think that you're not going to be able to do it, but you just actually do it. And I think the worst mistake that I made was, I think at the end of the first week, was thinking that, you know, I've gone to the gym and I can now go and walk around Pittsford Reservoir in the wrong shoes.
Yeah.
And just absolutely mullered my feet. They were so blistered. I'd achieved the walk, but I could hardly walk for about the next 2 weeks afterwards. You know, so I think I think the thing is you know,
Breaking down
actually,
the goal is what you're
break,
basically
yeah,
saying.
break it down and try it, and I think you're actually going to surprise yourself, because you know you're looking at someone that was naturally quite lazy, you know, that would quite happily sit on the sofa, quite happily just go on my app, order, you know, takeaway, you know. And I'm not saying that I haven't ordered a takeaway, because I had one the other night, but you know, you make little cheats in there. You know, I don't have the fried rice, I had the boiled rice. And the other thing is I ate until I felt happy, but I then, you know, I didn't save it for the next 3 days and keep and continue, you know, that sort of thing. So, you know,
Yeah.
we enjoyed it as a nice meal rather than actually another takeaway on the next week, and we just, you know, got lots out of it. So, I think if you're looking to do something like this, I'd say if you had any doubts, just try the 6 weeks, and I bet you bottom dollar after those 6 weeks that, you know, it's going to change you. And it's not just the exercise; it's the whole package, and it's been, you know, a phenomenal change for me. You know, it's you know, it's been fantastic.
Have you surprised yourself, Phil? Did you know?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, massively. Yeah, massively.
In what way?
You know, just I don't know. I'm a lot more positive. That's probably the biggest thing. You know, got a lot more self control. You know, and you know, I think, you know, when you're 47, if you can sort of turn yourself around and change things, I think, you know, there's, well, it's, you know, you just got to give it a try, really. You know, but for me, I think the biggest one for me was my mental health side. It was just been phenomenal. You know, and that has been a real booster, massive booster.
Fantastic. Well, so you know, we'll wrap this up. But I mean, what goals, aspirations do you have going into the new year? Then?
So I'm still got a few weeks to go. I'm still on a dry phase. So
Okay, yeah.
Christmas Day is when I officially come off it. So I'm doing a cooking Christmas.
What's going to be the first drink?
Oh mate, I've got some vodka coming. I've got a load of American whiskies that I collect. So I'll probably be cracking one of those.
Phil. This is
Yeah. So, but I'm quite mindful. I've still got to be able to achieve the Christmas dinner out of this. So, but you know, I think yeah, I think for me, I'm still pushing. I'm down from 18.9. I'm now down to I'm fluctuating between 16.5 to 16.7. So 16.7, I feel, is that next plateau that I'm sort of on.
Over 2 stone.
Yeah, so two stone now, but you know, my whole body shape has sort of changed.
You've gained,
you know,
strength
my posture has sort of changed, and I'm looking to get down really to about 15.5, maybe 16. So I think, you know, and then what I want to do is, you know, it's about maintaining. You know, it's about having the odd treat, not being silly, you know, and not going back, you know.
Yeah. Well, that, I mean, you know, that is something that isn't talked about enough. Like when people are setting goals, what I find is that a lot of people think that goals have to be always about achieving something more. You know, so I need to, you know, lose more weight, or I need to get even fitter. But you know, sometimes like maintenance as a goal is a really good goal. You know?
Yeah.
And I actually think that is the sweet spot for success. When you can get to the point where, you know, you've got maybe you give yourself some sort of a bit of a buffer. You give yourself like 4 or 5 pounds each way, and you know that when you start to kind of creep up to the higher end, you're like, okay, I'm letting things go a little bit. Let's crack on. Let's reduce those carbs a little bit. Let's crank back those alcohol a little bit. And the key thing is knowing what your sweet spot or what your buffer point is. And I don't think you really find that out until you've got to certain body compositions. Yeah. Because, I know people and trainers and people in the past who are actually quite unhappy and, being ripped, because of the level of commitment.
I think for me that it'd be unachievable and it would be a failure. There's no point in doing something if I can't maintain it. And that's
you'll be happy.
There's going to be times when we go out for a meal and I don't want to be thinking, oh bloody hell, I don't want this, I can't have this. At the moment I'm a bit like that because ultimately I wanted to smash it the first 3 months just to give myself a little bit of a boost because I've always been this sort of thing that actually when I'm in and doing it, I can be in that sort of zone, but. For me, longer term, it's about that maintenance and just maintaining it and just keeping going.
And just for people listening, who are on a weight loss journey, like yourself, I mean, sort of 8 to 12 weeks is actually quite a good sweet spot for if you're in a calorie deficit continually, that's not a healthy thing to be in. So
the thing is, though, it'd be miserable. You don't want to be miserable.
People will literally spend their life trying to be in a calorie deficit. Whereas if you do what you've done and you're quite strict with it for about 10, 12 weeks, and then you rein it back a little bit, you maybe have a week or two where you're a little bit more relaxed, review things, and then you'd be like, okay, well, let's really sort of down for another 4 to 6 weeks. Let's do another half a stone, and then we'll rein it back. But what it does do as well is it mentally just gives you a bit of a relaxed period.
Yeah.
You're not having to be so self-disciplined all the time. Physically and hormonally, it allows the body just to kind of balance out a little bit. When you're constantly in a negative, in a calorie deficit, your body is in a slight sort of survival mode. So for your body to be in that mode all the time is not particularly healthy because ultimately it will increase.
And I think as well, if you did that for too long, you're just gonna what's gonna happen is you're just gonna become a bit uncontrolled in what you want to eat, what you're gonna do, because actually you've gone from the extreme to the extreme. And I always knew for me that was never going to be the case. I needed to get that weight, and actually getting that weight down is helping because it's helping me able to get through some of these exercises. Do some of these planks, some of these press ups. Press ups were they were always my stalking horse. I could never do press ups. Never do them. Didn't matter what you tried. Whatever weight I've been in my entire life from being a teenager, press ups have always been that thing that I could never do.
What about now? How are we doing?
So now I do when I get up in the morning I do 10 press ups. When I go to bed I do 10 press ups in the evening, and I can do those. I've set myself a little bit of a mini goal to sort of get those up to 20 or 30 before bed and after bed. When I get up in the mornings, obviously not on the days I'm going to the studio because that'd just be sadistic. Especially after holding, I think it was a plank push-up Tony had us doing this morning, which was it was like a push-up and then into a plank.
So on that, Phil, where do you feel like you've got the biggest room for improvements? Is it in the nutrition front, or is it in the exercise front? Or
I think for me, it's still the ability for the exercises. Certainly for me, I struggle to remember some of these exercises when I get shown them. I think the ability to remember shit and do stuff at the same time, I think I'm sort of mastering some of that, but
yeah,
it's.
I know, having seen you, that's already come a long way.
Yeah, and my balance is improving. Like at the start, my balance never been great. When I'm 6'5", I'm always destined to fall over. It's just sort of been my thing. But no, I just feel it's hard to explain really. If I was going back to talk to myself earlier on in the year, I'll be looking at myself going, you need to sort yourself out. A year ago I wasn't in a great place. My fitness wasn't great. My resting heart rate now is mid-50s. When I'm not doing stuff, it's mid-50s. A year ago in a stressful job, my resting heart rate was in the high 80s, 90s,
Wow,
and peaking in the afternoons.
Real. I mean, that is, I didn't know that, and that's music to my ears.
It was just, my missus thought I was going to have a heart attack. It was just absolutely ridiculous. But I'd say this to anyone, I say, give the 6 weeks a try. Because if it changes just one thing, you've changed something. You've made some sort of change. And actually, I think just getting on the 6 weeks is an achievement in a way, because you've had to make that decision to do something. And I think it was the best thing for me. And obviously signed up for another 6 months to do three mornings a week, and I'll probably see that continuing, because it's it keeps me focused. And it's this sort of cliche where they go, oh, you go to the gym and stuff, and it makes you feel a lot more positive, and you hear people when they say it, and you think, yeah, right, yeah. One. Yeah, but it is true. It does. And my missus noticed is the difference on the days that I'm not doing a session. And then generally at the weekends, we always try to get a decent walk in. It's just weird. It changes everything. But without the ability, but what you've done then is the stuff that you just used to have all the time, maybe the naughty stuff, when you do have it, it's a really enjoyable experience, and that's sort of the difference. But for me, it's I can't say enough about it really.
I think with the food front, you've gone from maybe needing certain food, or whether it's drink, or for I don't like the word sort of comfort eating, but for that kind of like, it kind of like does comfort you to some extent, doesn't it? Like a bowl of pasta or chocolate, but you go from there to sort of, now you actually enjoy the enjoyment side of it. And
massively.
We had Dax Moy on last week, and one of his keys to transformation is actually enjoyment. You've got to enjoy the process. Now, that doesn't mean that, because people get confused with that, and they think, well, I really enjoy drinking wine and the ice cream, Matt. That's not the point. It doesn't mean enjoyment can be overcoming, like doing a challenging workout and coming out of it and having that fulfillment factor. Enjoyment, it doesn't have to always mean it's easy. It just means that you're actually getting some self-satisfaction from it,
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt.
We're past the hour mark, buddy. So I know you've got to get back to work, and I hope our listeners have made some notes, and we'll maybe catch up next year when you're about to do the health cover, and we'll get six pack Phil on the.
I don't ever expect to get a 6-pack, but the tum's definitely going. I just got to get rid of the bit around the sides, which.
There'll be plenty. I mean, the thing is, there's going to be plenty of people listening who also haven't got any interest in a 6-pack, but they just want to feel better in themselves, mentally, physically, and particularly at the moment, So hopefully, I'm sure this will inspire people to take.
I hope so.
Yeah, again, thanks for your time, Phil.
That's all right, mate.
Yeah, it's been awesome to have one of our members back on. So I'd love to do more of these.
Thanks for inviting me. It's been interesting. Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
And I'll see you. I'll see you next week, no doubt.
You certainly